Welcome to Senior Beat. I'm Cindy Morrison, and today we have with us investigator Derek Robertson of Groton Town Police. Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We are going to talk about Groton Town Police and you guys coming down to the senior center, also Groton TRIAD.
Great.
And we'll kind of bring all of it back together.
Sure.
Safety is something that totally weighs on all our minds. I think one of the things the seniors think about mostly, at least that we hear about a lot at the center, is scams. Mm-hmm. Is that something that takes up a lot of time at the police department with you, and who handles a scam?
Well, initially, scams will come in through patrol. So patrol officers will respond initially, find out as much information as they can, and if need be, a lot of time it gets fixed right at the patrol level. But if it needs to go further, then it would go into the detective division, and then they have more time and more resources and are able to investigate it that much further.
Great. So other than scams, there's many other safety concerns. What are some of them that are handled with Groton Town Police and specifically to you?
Well, I'm an investigator. Normally, I'm in plain clothes Monday through Friday, shirt and tie type. So it's easy to pinpoint an officer when they're in a uniform or in a marked car. A lot of times, that's the majority of our workforce. As an investigator, we do a little bit more, I don't want to say specialized, but we have more time and more resources to give something more time. Okay. In the investigative division, we do a lot of things with the schools. We do a lot of things with the public, the senior center,
yes,
the library. We teach the DARE program. And we also do the sex assaults, mm-hmm, and those types of sensitive cases that involve everyone, but specifically children mainly.
Right.
So those are some of the things that in the investigative division that we handle aside from patrol.
That's great. So if somebody had a concern that was one of those that you handle, would they try and call you specifically, or do they call just the main number?
Well, it depends. We talk about this a lot. Obviously, 911, we're taught from a very young age, if there's an emergency, to call 911.
Correct.
And that's true. But not everything is an emergency call. People say, well, then what am I supposed to know? If you're really in doubt and you need to get a hold of us, clearly you call 911. But we do have an officer on the desk 24 hours, 7 days a week. So if you walk into our front lobby, mm-hmm, you look behind the glass, you'll see an officer there. There's a direct telephone number to them as well. Okay. So if you just need a question about a motor vehicle accident you might have been in and you want to know what the progress is, or you have some other specific question that you know is not an emergency, mm-hmm, well then you would call our number okay, and get the desk officer. And if it needs to be redirected to an investigator, to a detective, to records, they can go that route. Okay. If it's obviously an emergency, then clearly, we're going to tell you to call 911.
Correct. So you said, pretty much we want you to call 911, but we also have the main number. What is that?
The main number is area code 860-441-6712.
Okay.
And that's the number that will get you the desk officer.
Okay, great. You also mentioned you're an investigator, but you also
Correct.
have the detectives. You also
Correct.
have patrol. What is the difference between being an investigator and a detective with Groton Town Police?
Well, we're fortunate to have the ability to have that, and
yes,
it's a question that's asked a lot. Why do you have the two? I always say the quick answer is, and there's a lot more to it than that, but it's detectives do property, uh-huh, crimes, the investigators do people crimes.
Okay.
Like I said, there's a lot more to it. If we have an unfortunate event where there's a serious crime, a homicide, that's the detectives will take that, okay, and there's it goes against what I seem to be saying, where that's a people crime. But the detectives would take that crime. We would then help them, assist them,
right,
and vice versa. Obviously, if
right,
we have something each division has, then we will all, if able to, with the resources, help each other out with whatever that may be.
Okay. I like that explanation. Nice and basic, but it's easy to understand.
Like I said, there is more to it, but that's the quick answer.
Yeah, but I like the way that works. I know, but not everyone out there knows, you're part of our Groton TRIAD, and
Correct.
the TRIAD includes Groton Town Police, Groton Senior Center, People's Bank, and some of our seniors. And we are a group, and we form together to provide safety the feeling of safety and provide information, an organization so that we can provide that for our seniors. And for us at the Senior Center, that's anyone 55 and older. How long have you been a part of the Groton TRIAD?
The Groton TRIAD, let's see, I've been an investigator for 4 years. Years ago, when we had a substation down in our Pequannock Bridge neighborhood, I was a part of that. And that's when I first started to kind of get involved with the library and the senior centers in the early stages of the TRIAD program.
Yeah.
So it's been probably within the last 8 years or so.
Okay, great. So we have something new, and I'm going to spotlight you now. We have something new that our Groton TRIAD is doing. We are doing TRIAD Tuesdays at Groton Senior Center, and those will be the first Tuesdays of every month at 11:45. Derek's going to be down there. We're going to have a question box. It's actually at our front desk now. You can submit your question anonymously. You can put your name on it if you want to be known who it is. And at this TRIAD Tuesday, we'll go through all the questions. You'll answer them. But we'll all gather in the community room and kind of have an open forum.
Sure. It stems back a little bit to what we do through the schools. When we're in the schools weekly,
yes,
there might be a lot of discussions that we have and we're on a time limit when we're in there.
True.
We wish we weren't, but we are. It's just how it works with other things that we have to do. So we have a box in there with the DARE program where they can put questions in during the week when we're not there. So the first thing that we do when we come back in is go to this box. We look through any questions and we go from there. In this case, it's ultimately the same thing, but it's to generate a discussion, if anything. If it draws some of the folks in the Senior Center into the room while this is happening, just because they don't have a question in the box doesn't mean they can't have a question.
True.
I think it's important because I believe they see the officers every day, whether we're in uniform or in plain clothes, they see us out. A lot of people are interested in what it is that we do.
Oh, yes.
Not to criticize, not to have that aspect of it. They want to know what we do because they see us every day. And it's not just, and this is a very important part of it, but it's not just the patrol level. It's not just the motor vehicle stop or if somebody had an accident. There are more things that we're doing.
Yeah.
So the number one concern always is, well, they always feel like they're wasting our time. Oh, I didn't want to waste your time. I didn't want to ask you that question. You're all busy and we don't want to interfere with that. The number one thing there is that's what we do. We are here to answer those questions, to handle those problems, and to give you the best answer that we can.
Right.
So hopefully this sets that up, at least in the Senior Center, and it gets some questions asked. People can feel free to come in, wait for their question to be pulled out of the box, or just ask a question while we're there, and hopefully it works well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big hit. Again, we're going to do it monthly, the first Tuesdays of the month at lunchtime, 11:45. Kelly might join us.
Yeah, Sergeant Crandall. She might be able to join us if she's free, and it always helps if there's obviously if we're in the room, we can answer as best we can. But if there's more than us, we can kind of bounce it off each other too, and maybe get a different point of view on a question. So hopefully that works out as well.
That'd be great. Can you talk about the Yellow Dot program? Because that's probably what most people identify TRIAD with, and our Yellow Dot program. Right.
The Yellow Dot program it's great. I think it ultimately, if you drive around town and you see the yellow sticker in the rear window of a car, people ask, what is this yellow dot for?
Yeah.
It really only works if we're all on the same page with it, but it's going on long enough now that I feel that we are. Yellow Dot program is when the seniors can come in, they fill out a packet with all their information they want to give us.
Correct.
It's not going anywhere other than what we're using it for TRIAD. And it goes into their glove box of their car with their doctor's information, some whatever important prescription medication information, and then a photo of them. Right. So what that signifies to us as emergency responders is if by any reason the unfortunate event that something happens, like a medical issue, a motor vehicle accident, these types of things, we'll see that Yellow Dot sticker in their window and know that information is in the car, because unfortunately sometimes they're not able to communicate with us.
Right.
And that way we're that many steps ahead of already knowing who the doctor might be, what medication they're on, what kind of ailments they might have.
Right.
And it speeds the process, and it's a much safer way of doing things.
So they can do this ahead of time to, in case of an emergency, help the officers do their job and help them.
Right, absolutely. And we will then, obviously, we come down, or I have in the past, and we'll take the photos. We set the date through the senior center. You know, you schedule that. It always works well. There's always a big showing.
Yep.
We take the photos, we get the information, and we put the package together.
Yep.
Go out and put the sticker in the car, and it's a good day.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them in the parking lot at the Groton Senior Center.
Right.
We are having a spaghetti dinner the last week in September. Don't know the specific date yet, but we are, and we'll be doing the TRIAD sign up and stickers again with that.
Well, that works well because obviously you can draw them in with food, right? So if there's a spaghetti dinner,
food always works.
We can sit them down to eat first, and then we can tell them about our TRIAD program. So it works. It works well.
It was a big hit last time.
It was.
So with that said, and you mentioned it before, the DARE program. Our Groton Senior Center Club 55 generously donated to the Groton Town Police DARE program this past year, which was wonderful. But it kind of begs the question, what is DARE program in 2018? What is it now?
DARE program is in all of our elementary schools. 5th grade is what we teach at that level. A lot of people love to hear that.
Right.
A lot of parents love to hear it. The teachers in the schools, for the most part, and our students, they all are very excited when we show up in our uniform and we do the DARE program. It's a 10-week program. As far as that goes, it hasn't changed since this started back in the mid-'80s. What has changed is, if you remember the old Just Say No to Drugs Nancy Reagan campaign of the 80s, which was effective, but most think that's still the same type of a thing that we're doing with DARE.
Right.
It has changed.
It's matured.
It's matured. It's changed. It's still the same age group, but it's changed more towards the things now where what that 5th grade student is going to run into. And we push good decision making, peer pressure, bullying. We do talk about tobacco and alcohol and drugs, and these things are still very much addressed. It's in the name for DARE, but we make sure these other steps are brought to the front and are certainly something that is very important. Right. On top of that, they get an officer. You know, the students in the classes and the schools that I go into for the DARE program, by the time we're done, they know me.
Right.
They know Officer Derek. They know a little bit. They know my favorite football team. They know the name of my dog. They know I have 3 daughters at home. They know these things, and I'm not just the uniform.
Correct.
And that is, to me, is just as important as anything else that we do in the program, because at the first week, you might have some of the students are a little standoffish for whatever reason. But we try to go to recess with them. We try and sit down on lunch with them, pick a different table every time, these types of things. And by the time we're done, I say, we want you to be comfortable with police, with firemen, with ambulance crews, the security officer at the mall. Know that we're all there to help you and not to be intimidated by us. And I think it's a positive thing, and I think it works in the end.
I think so too. And I love that that you're addressing the bullying and the things that are now. And not just
Correct. We go over cyberbullying and all the things that is something that goes on in every household nowadays. It's the things that are happening, and it's important. It's
good to talk about them. There's a fear of all these things out there, and I think the parents like to know, and the grandparents like to know. Right. And so maybe that'll be one of your questions at TRIAD Tuesday.
Maybe, yeah. We're looking forward to them. Yeah.
So you guys stop by regularly.
We do. We try to.
Yes, but not usually emergencies. There are a rare few, but when you do, you're walking around and people don't even realize you're you until you come in your uniform. But he is in our Groton Senior Center all the time. You're often at events, even Parks and Recreation has events like Fall Fest. You guys are at those.
Sure. I'm usually the officer that, if anybody has used the drug take-back program.
Okay.
It's usually on a Saturday. The senior center is closed. We don't need it open. It's just that's where we use as a location.
Area,
So a lot of people have come there. That's usually a pretty big hit. It works well.
Yeah.
So we're in and out of there a lot. In a uniform, like I said in the beginning, it's obvious that we're the police. First question, it's the two ends of the spectrum. If we come in with a uniform, people say, "Oh, what happened?" And if we come in with plainclothes, as we call it, sometimes they don't even realize that we're the police.
Yeah, they have no.
So it's like I said, it's the two opposite ends of the spectrum for sure.
The drug take box, the drug take back box. When you're not having an event, where can that be found?
We have it in the lobby of the police department.
Okay.
The green box in the lobby.
Which is open 24/7.
24. Yep, it's right up the stairs in the front, right across the street from Fitch High School. We're located, and yeah, the box is there. And if you have medications you'd like to get rid of,
Yeah.
you can do that anytime, or you can wait for when we have our drug take back programs, and then we're down at the senior
At the
center.
senior. Why is it important that people use these boxes versus just throw it in their trash?
Well, I think ultimately there's a lot of people who want to know they're doing the right thing. There's a lot of people who go in every household now, and there'll be a lot of medications. People have a lot of operations, they have certain ailments, and they're getting these medications, and they don't need them all for whatever reason. They're
Right.
left with some. They want to know they're not getting abused. They want to get them off their hands, and they want to do it right. So when they know an officer, the police department is putting this on ultimately, and they can give it to an officer,
Correct.
they feel that much safer about it, and then they know that they did the right thing. And they all leave with a big smile on their face,
Yeah,
and you can
like-
see the relief come right off
Like,
of them.
phew, I'm
You
not-
know that, yeah, we got rid of them the right way, and they don't have to worry about that anymore.
There's
So I
no
think it's a
no
very positive thing.
endangering,
Right,
especially if you have young children in your house or
Right.
older children
yep.
too.
Because they get picked up by another agency, and they go right to an incinerator.
Okay.
So it's very few hands.
Wonderful. So you guys are in the public, you're out and about and everything. The beach concerts, we see officers there. When you pull into the beach concert, you see them, they're directing traffic, helping people cross the road.
Sure.
But when you're down there, is it just kind of like a community event thing, or are you looking for certain things?
We are ultimately, and I actually work those a lot, those beach concerts. It's an overtime spot for officers who are working that, but mainly it's the crowd. I don't want to say control, because we're not controlling a crowd,
Right.
but it's a visual law enforcement at the event, the town event, but it's mainly for safety.
Large amount of people in a little area.
There's a lot of people in a small area. We want to make sure everybody's having a good time
Okay.
and enjoying themselves, but we also want to make sure they get in and out safely. So you'll see at times the mountain bike officers.
Yes.
You'll always see those working the crosswalks and the bright shirts, and trying to make sure that we're getting everybody in and out safely so they can enjoy their night.
Cliff Note version. It's okay to talk to you guys. It's okay
Absolutely.
to walk up and ask the questions.
Yes.
If you have an emergency, you'll let us know and you'll do your thing.
That's right.
But, and you're going to be at Groton Senior Center monthly, every first Tuesday
Yep.
at lunchtime. We will do special events throughout the year, and you and your cohorts, fellow officers, are around town just trying to make it all safe and better for us.
Right. We also have a few officers, patrol officers, Rich Savino and Eric Cordaweg, who have that patrol area. They're the community police officers in that area, so they like to stop in at the
Yes,
library
they do.
and the senior center, and they walk through. So they like to be involved with the upcoming events too. So hopefully everybody gets used to the faces, and
Maybe instead of "Where's Waldo," it'll be like
Right.
"Find the officer." Where's
right,
the officer?
Right. Name
Yeah.
that officer.
There you go. Oh, I like that one. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today on
very
Senior
welcome.
Beat. And I look
Pleasure
forward
to
to
be
seeing
here.
you in the halls. Groton
Yes, you
Senior
will.
Center.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Derek.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for joining us today on Senior Beat.